welcome to the first ever audio update / video update. We'll be posting to YouTube and to Ellensburg Community Radio, but welcome to Talking Bulldog Athletics. Jonathan Gordon is our PA guy for football and for basketball and pretty much anything else that you can think of between Central Washington University and Ellensburg High School. And I'm Cole Kanyer, Athletic Director at Ellensburg High School. JG, how are you?
Well, how are you doing?
So good, man.
Good.
Kind of fired up to try this new thing.
Absolutely.
Don't mind the cord and the microphone. We're just trying something new to see if we can get more information out to promote Bulldog Athletics.
Sounds great. I'm looking forward to it.
So the folks at Ellensburg Community Radio and Mike Gallagher approached me earlier this summer to see if we can't get some sort of audio update. And I thought, why not? We throw it into some sort of podcast format where we can post to Best of Bulldogs YouTube as well as Ellensburg Community Radio and highlight as many programs as possible.
Sounds good. Great opportunity.
Well, and I think throughout this series, too, we can highlight kids and coaches and invite them and just kind of have a discussion and see how things are going.
Absolutely.
To start things off, we'll start talking. We've had a ferocious start to the year. Things have been going just like crazy. It feels like, no matter how many years you have in the job, you're drinking out of a fire hose, and this year is no exception. We fired up a couple weeks ago during rodeo weekend. We traveled the football team down to Zilla and lost 14-13. I don't know if you watched that game or not.
Watched a little bit. Actually kind of saw a little bit of the video replay after, but it started with a bang, right? First play of the season, we get a touchdown, so that was seemingly a good start, and unfortunately couldn't pull that one out.
Yeah, newsflash, Colton Magruder's fast, you guys. He is really fast. First play of the game from scrimmage, handoff to Magruder, and I think it was 60 yards down the road, and he was untouched for a touchdown. Just kind of took off like a rocket.
Absolutely, yeah. And that was a good thing. Hopefully, good thing, good sign of things to come this season. And obviously, with Zilla, that first game of the year, we only lost by the 1 point. That's a team that beat us by 3 touchdowns at least on our own field last year. So, a promising start. With that one, even though we didn't come out with victory, they're always a very tough program.
For sure, and ultimately too. We have a lot of kids who don't have a lot of varsity experience.
Right.
So, between Darius and Colton, I think they kind of lead the crew in terms of who's played varsity in the past. We got a couple guys up front, but a lot of new faces as well. So, to come out of the gates with a close game like that, is always a good start.
It is, yeah. You're right. There's a lot of unfamiliar names as far as me from an announcing standpoint. Guys that are out there making plays and so on. Like you said, it's. Relatively inexperienced from the varsity level standpoint. But yeah, definitely Darius and Colton kind of leading the skill position players, and you got some kids that have been in the program for a while that are now starting. Thinking along the skill side, with Isaac Stickle, being in there as a starter, Colton Willard, who played some special teams last year, but I don't think he played a lot of, not a ton of offense by any means, and so, as those kids continue to get reps throughout the year and get that experience playing together in a game setting, hopefully they'll continue to be on that upswing and will lead to not only good things towards the second half of the season, but beyond.
Well, and I think we saw some of that in week 2 versus Davis. Had a little bit of a slow start that first half. Had to figure some things out offensively and defensively to kind of put a stop to they have some elite speed on that team. And
Absolutely.
So I think that kind of surprised us right out of the gates.
It did, and they had, their running game was pretty, was pretty good, and their quarterback, their quarterback's a 4-year letterman. He's not big in size, but he kind of does everything for them, so returning kicks and punts and kicking off, I think, and then, or I guess he was punting and then also playing the quarterback position. So somebody very, very skilled and experienced. They got off that fast start. They had running back who's pretty good size, pretty good, and he's only a sophomore. I think he kind of took it to us a little bit early on, and then you're right, we kind of got our footing underneath us in the second half. Each team had a touchdown taken off the board due to penalty, but the fact that we came back the fourth quarter, made it a game. I mean, we were at one point, had we converted a 2-point conversion early on the first touchdown, we would have been within 8 points. Going down the stretch, and we had possession and just weren't able to convert and get that score to where we would have had a chance. And we had a couple onside kicks in that game. Right out of the chute in the second half. onside kick that we recover, and then we did the same thing after our first score. And that really energized the team, energized the crowd, I think, to put us in a position to where, hey, we're still in this game. We may have given up 24 in the first half, but we're still hanging around, and credit to the defense for holding them off the scoreboard in the second half. So be excited to see what they do this week against Sela, obviously the conference opener and our longtime rival as well.
Sure, and ultimately too, this is the type or part of the season where kind of people get dings and nicked up a little bit, and so we'll see kind of how the injury factor plays into things between both teams. I don't know what the status is for Sela, but I know we got a couple guys that are banged up a little bit, so we'll have some younger guys stepping into some big roles this week.
Sure, it'll be interesting to see what Sela brings. Last year we beat them, I think, by 3 touchdowns at their place, and Magruder went for 5 touchdowns in that game. And they're struggling a little bit, so far to start the year. They lost to Davis week 1, I think it's 20-7, and then they lost to Okanagan 49-7 on the road last week. And again, they're on the road this week, so 3 weeks in a row for them. They're going to be a little. This will be an easy trip compared to last week, from a geography standpoint.
Absolutely.
But by the same token, I think the trajectory that our guys had from the second half last week, is to our benefit, and maybe take advantage of Sela not having a lot of confidence maybe early on, having only scored 2 touchdowns in 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we'll know on the gridiron on Friday night.
We will.
So.
It'll be fun.
Well, shifting gears here a little bit, we've also had CWAC soccer in action, and we've had our first CWAC swim meet, and our cross-country runners have participated in the Ellensburg Invite, and our volleyball team's been off and running. So let's talk a little bit about volleyball, and we have a lot of good returners on that. We got 3 seniors and a couple new faces, and we had our volleyball jamboree last week on the 5th of September. We had the Heidi Sullivan Memorial Jamboree. Yeah. And then we played the Sundome Invite down in Yakima, and then we hosted West Valley of Yakima on Tuesday, the 12th.
Yep. So obviously the SWAC tournament down in Yakima is a good indicator, even though the matches don't count as far as they're not counting matches as far as wins and losses and overall standing. Bulldogs finished second, or I should say they won the bracket for number 2 seeds, I guess, out of the pool play. And they only lost 1 set the whole weekend. So that's, I shouldn't say the whole weekend, it was only Saturday. So to win 11 out of 12 sets and beat some good programs and teams, I think they beat Lewiston from Idaho, who's in their highest classification. That was the title match for the number 2 seeds and so on. So swept Sela in the semifinals. And we know how tough they always are. So certainly that's a good indicator as far as where they're at. They did lose some pretty key pieces from last year. One was playing at Villanova tonight.
Sure.
And and so to come back and start that strong, even though it wasn't counting towards the overall record, is good indicator of things to come. Last night it sounds like they ran a little bit of a buzzsaw against West Valley, but we know West Valley is always one of the top 4A programs in the state. So, it sounds like a few errors here and there that kind of made it so that the end result didn't go our way. But we got another tough one coming with Chelan tomorrow on the 14th. So. We'll see how things go, and then conference play starts next week.
Well, we had a little bit of a celebrity name drop in Abby Harrell, who's currently at Villanova University, and gotten some all tournament honors her way. So, Abby, shout out to you. Hope all is well. But yeah, no, you're right. A bunch of new faces, and our new superintendent's daughters, Troy Torno is our new superintendent, and his daughters Jolie and Aubrey are on our volleyball team, and it seems like they fit in really well with the crew and have brought a lot of energy and honestly skill to the team.
It's just good, and that's something when you've got some big holes to fill, to have people that are able to step in right away and contribute, and so I expect they're probably not going to, while they lost a lot of skill to graduation and so on, to have these new faces step in and be able to contribute right away, and obviously we saw results on Saturday. And hopefully, more things to come as we look to defend the district championship from last year.
When we talk about West Valley and Chelan coming to town for volleyball, the same question, or I guess same statement should be made about football. Our non-league schedule is formidable. We've got a lot of non-league opponents who are going to prepare us for CWAC play, and hopefully that sets us up for a postseason run in all of our sports.
Exactly. You talk about football. Zilla again, is apparently pretty strong. Davis being one of the largest schools in the state. 4A, even though they've kind of gone up and down, that's still, when you're stepping up 2 classifications, thankfully we got to have them on our field. and thankfully it was a better overall performance compared to last year when it went double overtime in a 6-0 Bulldog win. That's good. And then we'll have Wenatchee here in a few weeks, whom we played in Moses Lake last year due to wildfire smoke and so on. But we get a turnaround game from them here in the middle of the season, and so that'll be a good a good thing for us, and hopefully we'll be that'll give us a few more weeks under our belt. Volleyball wise, like you mentioned, West Valley, one of the top 4A programs. Chelan, I think, won state and 1A last year.
2 years in a row.
2 years in a row. So, that's good right off the bat, and the CWAC is always tough. I mean, Freight has been at the top, with us the last couple of years. SELA, as we know, is perennially strong year in and year out, and so to get that strong competition in there before conference play, it should set us up well for league play once we start, and I think that's next week.
Yeah, and I've never been much of a puzzle guy myself unless it comes to managing your own team, but I know Coach Stickle and Coach Zenny are doing exactly that and trying to put the puzzle together to get the right pieces in the right places to make their teams function at the highest possible way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we've also had our swimmers going. Our swimmers are outstanding. They've never really had a home facility in the past few years. We've been thankful to use Memorial Pool here in Ellensburg, as well as dip our toe in the water, no pun intended, at Central Washington University. But to try and bounce back without a home facility has been a challenge, and our coach Shayla Madsen has done an outstanding job with our swimmers. We got 9 of our kids out this year, including some from Cleellum, so they were able to compete down in Prosser this weekend and finish third over the crew.
They're out of 6 or 7 programs, so that's a great start. That's an outdoor facility too, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I didn't really, it's not something we talk about much, but especially now the time of year you can get away with swimming outside. Once we get here in October, maybe not so much, but good start for them. I mean, SELA, who wins the district year in year out, and went as Walt State, they won that, and Granby wasn't too far behind. Bulldogs in third, I think 31 points. I think SELA had 48 as the winning score, and so, that's a great start for them, especially just with the school year just underway, off to a good start, and they'll have more of those type meets where it's kind of, I won't say it's kind of like a conference meet every time, but it pretty much is. I think
every single one
is you're competing against all the other conference schools, so you get a lot of familiarity with them. Something that you wouldn't necessarily have in some of the other sports. Yeah,
and we get our swim conferences spread out across Eastern Washington, so we include Clarkson and Pullman in that group as well. So we have quite a wide spread in terms of the competition that we face when we're swimming. We get to host 2 dates at Central this year, still pending confirmation, but we're excited to have our kids be able to swim a home meet finally, in the first time since prior to the COVID pandemic, I think.
Probably, yeah.
So. Our girls soccer team's up and rolling too. Soccer's had talk about non-league schedules. We got West Valley on our non-league schedule, who's been an outstanding 4A soccer program. We had Mount Si come to town and take it to us a little bit, but they were incredible. I mean, they had a great team. They were a well-oiled machine long before they stepped on the field here at Ellensburg High School, but then dropped the heartbreaker down at East Valley last night, 3-2.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I'll open up with 2 4A powers right off the bat. Week 1, right after Labor Day, and with West Valley, I think the 5-2 loss on the road. Then Mount Si here lost 8-0, and so then a little bit of time off, if you will, coming into the league opener last night, Tuesday, and took on an East Valley program that they won the regular season conference title last year. I think they were the runners up the district championships. But I think they were seeded maybe 5th, for the state tournament last year. So, again, a very formidable program. We were 2-2 up until about 2 minutes left, and then East Valley got the game winner on a penalty kick. So that's a strong showing, because East Valley have been roughing some teams up, in their non-conference schedule. So, come away with a 3-2 loss is good, and hopefully take some momentum away from that loss, even though it was. It wasn't a favorable result as far as the final score, but again, talk about building momentum and hopefully taking it moving forward. Hopefully they'll take that in their next contest and be able to compete and be in the top half of the conference and everything like that. So,
and when we talk about elite level athletes, I mean, I think every sport kind of has their specified athlete, in different positions, but we have some really incredible athletes on our soccer team this year.
We do, and you look at them, and there's a few of those names that were on that state championship basketball team last year, and they've been a part of the soccer program for a while. Lane Rowe with Jameson Phillip, Molly Moffitt's out there, Ellie Marcus. They all have state titles under the belt, in basketball, and I'm sure there's others that that you're more familiar with as far as ones that are contributing, and I think. It seems to me like the offense is kind of the thing that needs to get them going, and hopefully, those individuals. I think we had a freshman that scored a goal last night, and who's a forward for us as our Lane and Jameson and so on. So hopefully that's a sign of good things to come. Getting in there, maybe young, but be able to contribute. I think they only have one senior on the roster. I remember seeing that.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. So again. You got a team that's relatively young compared to some of the other programs in the conference, and so you're probably going to take a few bumps along the way as a result. So again, it's early, only one game into the 12-game conference schedule. So and you start off with with a team that's been at the top the last couple of years, and so I think definitely take some positives from that and roll into the rest of the season.
Yeah, and Jim England's a tactician at heart, and so he's going to be doing his best to get the kids to buy into the shapes and all the technical skills associated with that as well.
For
so
sure.
I'm sure you're going to see improvement across the year, and I think that one thing that's unique about CWAC soccer is every game can be a win or a loss. I mean, it just across the board. I think we got a really solid conference for soccer.
I think so too, and I think you take a look at. I was looking at some of these non-conference scores that were coming in, where you've got teams like Prosser and Grandview were just beating the crud out of these 1A schools. And then yesterday, Ephrata Grandview play each other, and Ephrata's improved this year. And Ephrata Grandview go double overtime and then penalty kicks before Ephrata wins on the road. So, you're not seeing these, 10-goal outbursts once you get into league. So that's indicative that you've got a pretty, there's a lot of parity there, a lot of strong competition. So stuff you were maybe getting away with in non-conference, if you will, scheduling patsies in some cases, for lack of a better word. You're not going to see that once it comes to conference play. And so every night will be a dogfight, pun intended, for our Bulldogs. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully we'll come out on top more often than not, and see what happens going postseason, later on.
Love it. Last but not least, we got our cross-country runners, all 818 of them. I think there's that many kids out for our cross-country program this year. I think the next closest in the CWAC is in the 80s. So I think Jeff Hashimoto said that our team alone makes up 55% of the entire CWAC
That's
cross-country.
That's pretty crazy when there's seven programs. But that's indicative of continued success. That's a program that's been our cross-country program has been very successful for many, many years. And and I think maybe sometimes when you have that success, you got more kids that may want to gravitate towards being a part of that successful program. And so probably not too terribly surprising on that. And I think we got a lot of returning talent this year that's coming off a district title last year and things like that. So it'll be exciting to see. And we've got 2 home meets. We just have the one for the conference preview here coming up. I think it's a week from tomorrow.
September 21st.
Yeah.
Yep.
So all the other 6 conference schools will get to come here, and everybody will get to run together, kind of like a conference preview meet, kind of like in week 1, and then 6 weeks later, where you have your conference district championship down in Selah. So again, hopefully, the trend that has been set as far as Bulldog success and on cross country will continue, and it sounds like had a pretty strong showing at our relays invite last weekend.
And Jeff sets that up in such a unique way, and the course is a non-conventional course. It's not exact distance, and kids are running through water, so it's more of a fun get-together to fire up the season, kind of like a jamboree, if you will. Just kind of, it's not a full 3-mile course like we typically run, and so.
Right. Well, and even mixed gender
teams,
mixed gender relay teams,
yep.
And I think what I see that our top relay squad was second out of 85.
Yep.
I think, and representing 30 schools. That's kind of, it's like an invitational, a jamboree, and get to have a little extra fun along the way with a non-conventional, non-traditional format. So
absolutely. Well, that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg for Jonathan and I's first conversation about Bulldog Athletics. You're going to see this evolve over this year, hopefully, and we can get together regularly to provide updates not only through Ellensburg Community Radio, but also through YouTube. You heard Jonathan spit a bunch of facts. He's the master statistician, and he knows people's birthdays, and he knows results. He also works on behalf of the CWAC as a Sports Information Director, so he manages some of our social media accounts and a lot of the scheduling software that we're using. And so JG is definitely a go-to for not only Ellensburg High School, but CWAC Sports in general. So if you see him around, give him a high five. But until then, we'll meet next week and give a report over the weekend and see how our program's fared, and then we'll go from there.
Sounds great.
All right. Thanks, JG.